We just got another one through the transfer portal. The Miami Hurricanes solidified their defensive backfield. A player who knows Canes cornerbacks coach Zac Etheridge very well is getting a reunion from the 713 to the 305. Keionte Scott, welcome to the U.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first or your second listen of the day. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, we told you last week Miami was going to get a defensive back from Houston. You guys thought we were talking about A.J. Halsey, who went to LSU, but no, Miami gets the other one, and this is a player that we really like. Keionte Scott chooses the Miami Hurricanes. Now, we refer to him as a Houston safety because Houston is the last university that he was enrolled in, but he never actually played for the Houston Cougars. So Keionte Scott started his career in JUCO, was a top JUCO transfer back in 2022 to Auburn, played very well his first couple of years at Auburn, primarily as a nickelback. 2022 with the Auburn Tigers, he had 53 total tackles, a sack, and an interception. Had a really good 2023 year as well with 42 total tackles. Some pass breakups that year. Was also an excellent punt and kick returner at Auburn, and maybe he'll get some cracks at Miami as well. Miami landed an excellent special teams returner in Keelan Marion, who's definitely going to be on kickoff return duty. Maybe Keionte Scott will also get some of those and perhaps be on punt duty for the Miami Hurricanes. Now, in 2024, Keionte Scott did take a step back with Auburn. He nursed an ankle injury that year, and I was also told, because I had a text conversation today with Zach Blackerby. You should check him out on Locked On Auburn. Locked On Auburn is absolutely one of the best shows on the Locked On Podcast Network. And, he mentioned he was really good 2 years ago in the nickel. But he mentioned he wanted to move to outside corner. He moved outside and it did not go well. Awful is the word that Blackerby used for that. He says he followed Zac Etheridge, the cornerbacks coach, to Houston, left after 2 minutes, as we know. So again, Keionte Scott never actually played for the Houston Cougars, transferred there from Auburn in January. That was before he knew that Zac Etheridge, who he had played for, because remember, Etheridge was at Auburn. So he played nickelback and cornerback for Zac Etheridge at Auburn. Etheridge went to Houston. Keionte Scott transferred to Houston. Etheridge takes the cornerbacks coach job at Miami. Keionte Scott hits the transfer portal again. So, folks, again, all the math was working in Miami's favor. The math was mathing in our direction, as we like to say. And Keionte Scott, who clearly wants to play for Zac Etheridge, that's all he's ever wanted, is going to be able to play for Coach Eth at the University of Miami because Keionte Scott is taking his talents here. So the role that I would expect Scott to play for the Miami Hurricanes, as Blackerby mentioned in that text I just read to you, I think he's going to be a big option, perhaps Miami's top option at nickel. I'm not exactly sure why some of the recruiting sites list him as a safety. That might have been what he played when he was coming out of high school or when he was coming out of junior college. He doesn't have big time experience at safety, but he has really big time experience playing the nickel, and he's played outside corner as well. So this is another important piece and a quality player for Miami's defensive backfield. And, I mentioned some of his stats for 2023 and 2022 with the Auburn Tigers. I should also mention that in 2023, Scott was a second team All-SEC cornerback, nickelback. So this is someone who has played among the very highest levels in the Southeastern Conference, and he's taken his talents to the University of Miami. In fact, he's the second SEC defensive back in the past few days who's committed to Miami. Miami landed Jacoby Thomas, the safety out of Tennessee, who was very good, was trending to be a starter this coming season with the Volunteers. Now Miami lands Keionte Scott, So again, didn't have the best 2024 season, but the slight position change and nursing injuries last year had a lot to do with that with Auburn. And maybe he just missed Etheridge a lot that Scott wanted to play for him. So he transferred to Houston. Then, he loses his cornerbacks coach who finds himself in Miami. And then Keionte Scott finds himself in Miami. And so, yeah, you think about all the portal additions that Miami has made in the defensive backfield. The most notable of those, Thomas from Tennessee, who Miami landed just a few days ago. Xavier Lucas out of Wisconsin, who Miami landed in the winter. Safety Zechariah Poiser, who Miami added in the winter as well. Charles Brantley, Ethan O'Connor, and now Keionte Scott. This can be a big-time player at the University of Miami, and I would imagine that Scott and Charles Brantley, who played a lot of nickel in spring, and potentially Damari Brown could compete for nickel snaps for Miami. I also wonder about Damari Brown because Miami is, as we know, less deep at safety as they are now at cornerback. Damari Brown, of course, has lockdown potential at corner, but he's also got the body type, does Brown, where he could theoretically play safety at a high level. So I wonder if there could be any possible positional movement for Brown to maybe add more depth to the safety position, which probably needs it more right now than corner and nickel does. So that's something to watch. And so we'll talk on the other side about how Miami's transfer class is now looking. It remains, of course, a top 4 transfer portal class in the country. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We got a new Cane, and we're only getting started on this brand new Locked On Canes. Keep it locked. I already know you're keeping it locked to FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Guys, if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. I love the player props, guys, and of course, betting on all this NBA playoff action. If you had the Knicks in game 1 against the Celtics, you won big. If you had the over on goals for the Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs game 1, which hit 9 goals, you won money. Game 2 is coming up tomorrow night. So what are you waiting for? Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're also proudly brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and so much more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You need help with your marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. Make sure you also check out the Portal podcast. Our friend Brian Smith from the Portal and from Locked On Seminoles, a frequent guest with us, the recruiting overlord, brings you insight nonstop. He's been doing like 2-3 shows a day during this busy transfer portal. And Miami has just had another one. And this is, from the moment that Keionte Scott ultimately decided to hit that transfer portal. I think he had teased it in the winter and made the full decision in spring. He wasn't going to stay at Houston. Well, actually, he picked Houston in the winter and then teased the idea of entering in spring. You had a feeling he was going to reunite with Zac Etheridge, which is exactly what's happening here. And so you like that. I mean, this is a player that was not here for spring football, so he's going to be a little bit behind the curve, but he knows his DB's coach. He's going to know exactly what Miami expects from him. He's going to be ready to compete in off-season workouts the minute he gets down here and in summer and fall practices that are coming up. So Keionte Scott, welcome to the U. And I was thinking about this. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, every time Miami adds a new defensive back. The obsession that Mario Cristobal and his staff have taken in trying to turn that weakness of a unit from last year into a strength, right? Miami's defense was porous for a lot of reasons. That's why they made a change at defensive coordinator, but the defensive secondary play was not anywhere near par last year, not anywhere near up to par. And so what has Mario Cristobal done? He's actually added 7 DBs in the portal. One of them, Emmanuel Carnley, went back into the portal after spring. So your net result is +6 in added defensive backs in the transfer portal with all the guys that you brought in, and mostly quality players who are either going to be almost guaranteed starters, which is what I've said about Zachariah Poiser and Xavier Lucas, and then others who are very much going to compete, Jacoby Thomas and Keionte Scott. So I'm liking what Miami is doing, kind of attacking that weakness and turning it into a strength. So here's what Miami's transfer class is looking like now. Keionte Scott joins Tennessee safety Jacoby Thomas, North Carolina State linebacker Kamal Bonner, who I'm a big fan of, and the linebacker unit needed help. Oh, and by the way, Miami's still in it for another linebacker. Come on, Mohamed Toure out of Rutgers, who played for Corey Heatherman there a couple of years ago and had his best season in 2023. Mohamed Toure is strongly considering Miami. Penn State is also very much in that mix, and so is Indiana. He could go play for crying Kurt Signetti, or he could go play for Mario Cristobal. We'll see how that goes for him. But Miami's very much in play for another quality linebacker in Mohamed Toure after adding Kamal Bonner. Miami added receiver and kick returner Keelan Marion from BYU. Slot receiver Tony Johnson out of Cincinnati, kicker Bert Auburn from Texas, running back Jamar Brown, and boy, does he solidify that running back field. I mean, Jamar Brown joining, he's going to be a top choice back for Miami, joining Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle. Jamar Brown lit it up at North Dakota State the past couple of years, helped them win a national championship at the FCS level, was the FCS freshman of the year last year. So not last couple of years. No, that's not right. He's 1 year out of high school, but had a tremendous freshman season for North Dakota State last year. Of course, Miami added quarterback Carson Beck, who's going to be your starting quarterback. This is going back to the winter portal. Alex Bauman, tight end out of Tulane. James Brockermeyer, center out of TCU, who's going to be a starter. Xavier Lucas, we talked about him, the cornerback from Wisconsin. Charles Brantley, corner or nickel from Michigan State. Jack Nickel, who doesn't play nickel. He plays tight end. That's the older brother of Luke Nickel. Zachariah Poiser could be a starting safety here. David Blay, who could be a starting defensive tackle here. Ethan O'Connor, cornerback out of Washington State, and C.J. Daniels, wide receiver out of LSU, who's another guy who's going to compete for a starter's possible duty here. So huge adds, big upgrades. Welcome to the U, Keionte Scott. We'll talk to everyone again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We'll be back tomorrow with the Truth Teller right here on another episode, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.